Hello, everyone. Dundalk TV is sitting down today with Shorty Davis to have an honest discussion about race relations in America. Not really sure even what we're going to talk about at this point in time. We've sat down and had a discussion of how we felt personally about what is happening in America, and now we're going to sit down and start to discuss what's going on in America and also in Baltimore. Shorty, do you have anything that you'd like to start out the conversation with?
We need town halls about race relationships and racism in America. We need to deal with it head on and not act like it doesn't exist.
And I think a little bit before we go into anything a little bit further, I don't disagree with Shorty, and we're coming into this as friends. We're going to have a friendly conversation, and this is to help move the human race forward. Now, Shorty, I don't know about about any of the town halls. Have you been looking to set any of this up at this point in time?
We've been talking about it and been having discussions, but we need to address it in an open forum and not just hit it on Facebook and Twitter. We need people to participate that it affects.
And let me go into a little bit of the history, and that's where I wanted to go with this. Could you describe what you do in the community and your activism work and where it's taking you? There's a lot of similarities between yourself and myself, so I kind of wanted to bring those out.
I'm an activist in the prison industry. I'm an activist in homelessness, and I'm an activist for Word on the Street. It's a newspaper for the homeless people in Baltimore City. I feed the homeless. I do books and barbecue. I try to show the good in the community instead of the negativity in which mainstream media seems to be showing on a regular basis. We have a network of people that do good things in the community. We clothe people. We come to people's aids when they're burnt out of their homes. We give away free books to the community across Baltimore, and just the positive things that we need to show and do.
And your activism work led you to do some things like I have done. I actually ran for state senate this last go round in 2014. I am a traumatic brain injury survivor who has picked up a video camera to show all the good things in my community, but also with that has come the responsibility of showing some of the bad stuff. I like to show the good stuff, but unfortunately there are things that are going on in the community that I'm bringing out. Now, Shorty also does a lot of video work, and this last go around in 2014, what did you do?
I'm got a thing called the video vigilante. I give people a chance and opportunity to say what they want to say about change in Baltimore or what they do to contribute to the things in Baltimore. I go Sandtown. I go anywhere where it's needed. I also ran for office as lieutenant governor on the Republican ticket. I work with, like I said, Word on the Street. I also work with Out for Justice, in which they were behind legislation to give ex-felons the right to vote, in which Governor Hogan shot down and vetoed this week. Um, we hold officials accountable. We hold the community accountable, and we try to do positive things to eliminate the disparity in the communities.
So if you see an injustice, you stand up and do whatever you can to bring a light to it and to
Yes.
change that injustice. And that's what I do. And I think that that's why this is going to be working out well. I want to go into my community and show how people in my community feel about race relations. And I would like for Shorty to go into his community and do the same. We had a short discussion prior to the camera going on this time, but I didn't want to have that too much of a discussion behind the scenes because I wanted everything to just be natural when we were talking about it for the first time. So some of the information Shorty was sharing with me about the neighborhood in his particular neighborhood and where he goes to help people was pretty eye-opening. So you were saying in that conversation that you have video of the police doing certain actions that they really wouldn't like to have disclosed. Would you like to share any of those with us?
We do a thing called Cop Watch, and we videotape the police and when they have encounters with citizens in Baltimore. Um, I did it on North Avenue, Pennsylvania Avenue, um, Greenmount Avenue, Guilford, uh, Lafayette, Fayette, East Side, West Side, wherever I see the police at or see them pull somebody over, I always pull a camera out and I ask the person what they're being pulled over for or why they were stopped and try to give them a little protection and tell them their rights that they have so the police just don't walk over them. The police have jump out boys. They rob drug dealers here in Baltimore. They got two standards of justice that exist in the communities in which that they serve and protect. They more like intimidate in my community rather than protect in my community.
And have you seen any of these cases come to light as of yet, or are you kind of still working on that? Or?
None of these cases come to light because the state's attorney is not going to prosecute police misconduct. I brought this cases to internal affairs. I brung them to Belfield when Belfield was in office. I've also resubmitted my material to Commissioner Batts, and nobody really cares about policing the police in this community.
So you have actually filed documents on this, sending them to the. So you have documents.
I have documents with the police department. I have documents with the Department of Justice. I have documents in Eric Holder's office. I have documents in Kapelhoff's office, the criminal division of the civil rights of the Department of Justice. I filed papers with the Judiciary Committee. I filed papers with the courts to investigate the courts. I even asked for the IRS to come audit Baltimore City for their spending and their money, handling of the people's money.
So you talk about having an open and honest discussion and a forum coming together, a town hall meeting.
I recommend that we have town hall meetings. We have town hall meetings about insignificant. The mayor had 9 town hall meetings last year talking about the state of Baltimore and issues that affect Baltimoreans, but they never had town hall meetings about racism in Baltimore. And this is a racially diverse community, and it's right now it has a high racial tension that's going on, and it needs to be diffused. It needs to be addressed.
Well, from my perspective, and we didn't share anything before, and that would be that I support the police, and I think that the police have a hard job. I haven't seen what you have seen and videotaped. Anyone being you had talked about earlier, I don't believe you said it on camera now, but that there are individuals that are actually stopped and pretty much stripped down to their shorts on the street.
You have incidents where the police will try to degrade people here in Baltimore to take away their manhood, and they'll pull a suspect out on the street corner in front of everybody and make them strip down to their underwear and search them, detain them, and not find any drugs, not find any guns, not find any weapons, but does this just as a mental and physical intimidation on these individuals. They've been doing this in Baltimore for years.
Would you feel like this is the norm of the way that the police act? Do you feel that this is just...
They don't do this in Randallstown. I mean, they don't do it in Roland Park. They don't do it on Cold Springs or University Avenue. They do it in highly populated Black communities.
But do you feel that it's only like a bit of an isolated incident?
No, it's a practice.
It's a general practice.
It's a general practice. It's not an isolated incident. We've got plenty of incidences where people are beaten by the police that the police don't take the police reports. You're not going to let me report you beating me. And until we put it on camera and still we catch it on camera, they don't do anything about it.
So I guess one question that we didn't talk about at all at this point in time, and we haven't covered, is that with Freddie Gray, and that's something that has recently happened within the last month. So what are your feelings about what happened with Freddie Gray and the cause of death and how you feel about the whole situation? What is your viewpoint
Freddie
on that?
Gray was murdered by the Baltimore City Police Department. They beat him and ruptured his spleen, and he's not the first victim of a ruptured spleen by the police department. You got Tyrone West that was beaten to death and his spleen was ruptured. You have Anthony Anderson whose spleen was ruptured and beaten to death. So if I committed those crimes on other people, you'd call me a serial killer. So it's a common practice because these were Baltimore City police officers that beat unarmed men. So Tyrone West was driving in a car and they pulled him out of his car. Anthony Anderson just came out of a liquor store. And Freddie Gray ran from the police. He ran from the police because they had that fear and intimidation in our community. If you didn't do anything to Anthony Anderson and you didn't do anything about the Tyrone West case, why would Freddie Gray think that they cared about him? Now that you killed Freddie Gray, and the only reason that they indicted those police officers is because they had a riot. There's no statute of limitation on murder or attempted murder. You murdered Tyrone West. You murdered Anthony Anderson. You murdered Maurice Donald Johnson. You murdered Chris Brown. And these were unarmed men. These weren't gun-wielding individuals. These were unarmed men. So aren't the police committing serial murders? I'm not saying that all police are bad, but the ones that are need to be taken off the force. You made a stop snitching video, and you made that stop snitching video in 2006. Well, the same way that you want us to clean up our community, you got to clean up the police department.
And you're talking about who made the video. Obviously, it was not me. So
no, the stop snitching video, I'm sorry for using the words you. The stop snitching video was a video made in 2006 about glorifying the drug culture and the hustle in Baltimore City streets. And it showed people making money, hustling, doing whatever they do. They were arrested for making that movie. But if you made a movie called Stop Snitching, or the video Stop Snitching, then let's show the other side of the coin. Let's show the politicians that are getting paid and the judges that are getting paid and the lawyers that are getting paid and benefiting from this war on drugs. Don't just lock up Joe on the corner. Lock up those corrupt officials that are benefiting from it too. We traded cotton for cocaine, the penitentiary for plantation, and my community is the cash crop. You sell drugs out in Dundalk like they sell drugs in Baltimore City. You got people on drugs in Dundalk the same way that you got people on drugs in Baltimore City. But I don't see the stop and frisk and the things that they doing in Baltimore City out here in Dundalk. I don't hear about it.
Well, I don't know to what degree it would be. Actually, I've had problems with the local police throughout my lifetime where they had given me a bit of a hard time, told me that they would actually, they could lock me up if they wanted to. And this goes back years. And I think that it is possible that as you get a little older, maybe that stops. But, you know, I do have firsthand knowledge of a police officer telling me for no good reason that he could lock me up if he wanted to. So also I'd heard about the rough rides and the paddy wagons, and if anything with the Freddie Gray incident, I want to wait until all the information is in before I don't want to jump to conclusions personally myself. So I want to wait to see all the information. But I know about the rough rides, and I hope that if nothing else comes of the Freddie Gray incident, that is stopped, because that is something that shouldn't be happening. I know that they said that seatbelts were supposed to be worn all the time in the vehicles at this point in time. So if nothing else, I'm hoping that that would help things out in the future. So, and I'm not aware of the other incidents that you had shared with me, which is quite a few, but I would like to look at that. So I'll do that. Other information you want to share?
The Freddie Gray incident, if you think about it, look at it. It's been a month since this has happened. And in 30 days, you've indicted these police officers. Why didn't they do anything about the other police officers, like I say, Tyrone Weston, Anthony Anderson, or Maurice Donald Johnson, or the other victims that have been victims of police brutality? The city's paid out over $6 million in police brutality cases in the last couple years. So don't that say something about the police practice? You brung Commissioner Batts here from LA, and Commissioner Batts had a domestic charge on him where he couldn't carry a gun for his first 6 months here until his case was adjudicated in California. You've created a police state in our community on Pennsylvania Avenue, Greenmount Avenue, in those areas. You tag them as high crime areas, and you treat the people in those communities no different than the Jews do the Palestinians over in Israel. You've designated these hot spots where you've just labeled these people as being troublesome, and they're not. They just trying to live. This is my suggestion. Take Kamenetz, take Stephanie Rollins Blake, take some of those city council people, and take them out of their comfort zone and make them live on a house on Pennsylvania Avenue. Make them live on a house on Greenmount Avenue. Make them live there for 3 weeks, 30 days, 7 days. Let them get to see what the community is, how the community is living, before they sit here and pass judgment on the people that live in those communities. Trade places with them.
Well, to go back a little bit, there was one thing that I wanted to add to the conversation is coming out of high school, I was introduced to someone that I hung out with one night, and it was someone that was a cadet for the Baltimore City Police Department. And this particular fella wanted to try to impress me by saying that he couldn't wait to be on the force so he could split black people's heads. Well, of course, I didn't agree with that, and we were out. And the more that he talked, the more that I kind of wanted to drown it out, and just started drinking a little bit more heavily that night. Well, comes to be that I wound up in trouble that night due to what he was saying. It just totally infuriated me. So I'm not of the mindset that that the police are above any of this. You would have to be pretty foolish to believe that. But the police officers that I know are mostly county, but I know that they go to work to help out the society. That's why they've taken the job. But then again, I'm not going to say how things are going in the areas that Shorty knows that they're not exactly my areas. I did work in some of the areas, and it was a very rough way of life. And I had a lot of compassion for the people that lived there because they had very little. But then again, I don't condone crime. I am not condoning the riots that happened. I want to find a different kind of way to move the human race forward and to help these communities that need help. And that's why I'm sitting down with Shorty and wanting to talk to him and then give the different perspectives from his neighborhood, a different way of life than I know, and then show the other side of my friends and the people that I know from my community, and have the honest discussion. I think that it'll go a long way. Now, what do you think about that, Shorty?
I don't condone the riots, but I don't condemn them. You can't promote democracy over in Iraq, Iran. You showed all these film footages over the last 4 or 5 years where you were promoting democracy in other countries, but you deny those rights in which you're trying to give other countries Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Syria. You deny those rights here to the citizens of the United States. So if you, not saying you, but if America was rallying behind Arab Springs, and if America was rallying behind the uprisings in these Middle Eastern countries, then why are you condemning the uprisings in our own major cities? We're being treated like third world countries in most major cities across America. Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, anywhere where there's a high density or population of Black and Hispanic communities, you are policing them differently than you police them in other communities. The crime and the the crime that's going on in those communities was imposed by the government. They created the war on drugs. They put the drugs in the community. They put the disparities in the community. They're closing schools. They're closing rec centers. They're building jails. So what kind of message does that send for you? If I live in the projects and I live right across the street from Central Booking, what am I aspiring to be if all I see is crime, murder, and death? And then I look at and wake up to the prison right next to me. It's a mindset.
Well, that's one of the things. I made a phone call today to Bill, and I met Bill about 2 years ago. He does things with the 100-man Black Mentors, and he had said that, and someone I'm hoping to interview, I think he's going to do an interview with us, is that he couldn't get any kind of involvement. And then I had a brief discussion with you and didn't try to change, the dialogue here. I didn't want to, take away from the spontaneousness of it. But we had a brief conversation, and I had asked you if you thought that the police were bad and whether you supported the police. Now, Bill had said that that they weren't getting the exact kind of support that they would like to. So I know that the police have different PAL programs, and I think that together, and I would hope that, we would be, if we're going to do this together, hopefully we can make it happen, having a town hall meeting, that we would be able to bring the police and maybe make this a part of the conversation about maybe a PAL type thing with the police and the Black men that want to mentor some of the youth. So I would hope that might be a possibility.
We do need that. We need to have a conversation in town halls on those levels. We need the police to create a better relationship with the community. The community needs to be held accountable to a degree. But like I said before, you've created this environment. And then after you created the environment, not saying you, but I'm saying society has created this environment. And now after you created the environment, you want to point your finger at the ills in the community. It don't work like that.
Well, I can tell you from myself, being a traumatic brain injury survivor, I've just totally have not gotten the kind of help that I need. So I reached out everywhere that I could for that help. I reached out to the political figures. They all spoke well on camera, gave me their assistance cards. When I made that phone call, there was no support whatsoever. So that's one of the big reasons I ran for office, other than I saw a great injustice going on in the community, and I wanted to make sure that did not continue. So I was able to make a difference, which I'm very happy to say, and I hope to continue to make a difference in that aspect as well. But the support that's needed there, the system, I guess what I'm really trying to say is the system is broke. I can see that the system is broke. We have people that are getting paid on the county level and people getting paid on the state level that are doing the same job, and they might be great people. I've found some great people there. I've tried to bring them together between the county and the state, and it's just not happening because that's the county and that's the state. I think that's wrong. I think that we all need to pitch in, and we really all need to start working towards real solutions. I ran my campaign was working together for real solutions, and if we are going to make a difference in our communities. That's what we have to do.